7 years ago, Naypyidaw was declared the capital of Myanmar. The purpose-built city was the brainchild of the former military dictator Than Shwe, who's now made way for a partly civilian government. Inside the sprawling parliament complex, the democratic process should have been taking another major step with the swearing in of members from the largest opposition party, the National League for Democracy. Instead, there were empty seats, as the party of Aung San Suu Kyi stayed away, because it doesn't want to swear to safeguard a constitution it wants amended.
The National League for Democracy has many problems with the current constitution, but the main one is these gentlemen in uniforms sitting here. The constitution reserves a quarter of all seats in parliament for serving members of the military. The NLD wants that to change. It wants all members of parliament to be democratically elected by the people.
For the situation to be resolved, the NLD has to either back down or Parliament must vote to change the wording in the oath for new MPs. But some in the military-backed party, which has the most number of seats in Parliament, believe the House is not the place to discuss the issue.
We don't want to do a political debate in the Parliament. It is not a usual practice for us in this country, because we are discussing about the interests of the people.
The problem for the government, though, is that the interests and hopes of many around Myanmar lie with Suu Kyi and her party. They won most seats in the by-election, including all 4 up for grabs in Naypyidaw, where people are still angry at being moved off their land to make way for the new capital. They believe Suu Kyi can help bring them and the country out of poverty.
I hope that she will provide help for the ordinary people. I believe she will try to create jobs for us.
The reality is that even when the National League for Democracy enters Parliament, it'll have little power to force change. There are more than 650 seats in the combined upper and lower houses. The NLD won 43. The reformist government wants Aung San Suu Kyi involved, but may feel it's already made enough concessions.
Let's talk to Wayne, who's in Naypyidaw now. So the government might think it's made enough concessions, and Aung San Suu Kyi's party might think it's done enough simply by winning the seats, and that it gets more publicity, more coverage, more pressure on the government by making a stand rather than going in.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Interesting today on this, what should have been a momentous day for the National League for Democracy and Aung San Suu Kyi, how silent the party has been. They have really said nothing all day. There was an emergency meeting of senior members of the NLD in Yangon, remembering they didn't even make the trip from Yangon to Naypyidaw, so there was no chance they were going to be in Parliament today. They did have a meeting and afterwards have said nothing, and we've been fed a few lines coming out of that meeting, but really no official statement. One of those lines seems to put the blame back onto the President Thein Sein, saying that he told the NLD last year that this oath, the wording, would be changed, and clearly it has not been.
So where does it go from here, Wayne? I mean, what can they do about this? Two sides appear implacable.
Well, it has to go into Parliament. Interesting that these exact same words were changed in Parliament last year when it came to the registration of political parties. They too had to declare this oath. They had to safeguard the Constitution in order to register their party. After lobbying from Aung San Suu Kyi and the NLD, the Parliament voted and agreed to amend those words. However, there was no mention of amending the words in the oath. So obviously there may have been some sort of oversight here, perhaps on the part of the NLD. So the President, Thein Sein, I mentioned, is away at the moment on an official visit in Japan. He returns to the country on Tuesday, so it is expected once he gets back that perhaps there may be some movement on this, but it still has to go back to Parliament for a vote.
Thank you, Wayne. That's Wayne Hay in Naypyidaw.